and you're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Joining us now, Corey Lewandowski, and as you know, Corey, the best-selling author of 2 books, New York Times bestsellers, Let Trump Be Trump and Trump's Enemies, also talks to the president weekly, and he'll be at the rally in New Hampshire, and he's with us now. Hey, Corey, great to have you, man.
Good morning, John. How are you today?
Good. Can't wait we'll be in Iowa, but then we're going to New Hampshire, and we're going to be on our radio bus touring that state. We're going to be based in Salem. We're looking forward to seeing you there, and on, I think it's Friday, whatever that date is, a week from tomorrow, we'll be at Al's big headquarters there with all your friends coming in. I hope you'll be there as well.
Well, look, I'm excited. Sunday, I'm going out to Iowa. We've got a huge contingent of Trump supporters heading out. We've got 5 or 6 cabinet members that are going out. We've got some of the senior leadership of the campaign. Obviously, Brad put together a really, really good group of individuals going to Iowa. So we're flying out on Sunday, and we'll be out there for, obviously, not just the Super Bowl, but Sunday, Monday, and then coming back Tuesday. Then I'm going to be down in Mar-a-Lago with the boss for a couple days, and then I'll be up back in New Hampshire, and the president will be joining us on the 10th in Manchester for another massive rally on the eve of the New Hampshire primary. So it's an exciting week and a half ahead of us. It's really going to give us the opportunity to highlight the differences between this president, a man who's made promises and delivered on them, and then his Democrat opponents like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and so many others. And we're going to be able to see, coming out of New Hampshire, where the Democratic nomination is going, because I think Bernie's got a chance to win the first couple contests here.
Hey, look, that's what I'm predicting. That's why we're going to be following his campaign. Corey, when you're in Iowa, we have to get you on our show, either live or by phone. Same thing in New Hampshire. We're going to be out there with everybody else there for 6 days. And look, the Emerson poll just came out. Bernie's up by 9. I think he wins Iowa. I think he then goes to New Hampshire. He wins New Hampshire. I think he's going to win Nevada. He almost won that last time. He wins those 3 states. I mean, how do you stop him?
Well, I don't think you can, and obviously we know that the Biden strategy is a flawed one. He's now pulled back out of New Hampshire. He's off of television by and large. He's reducing his visits and his staff there because he believes that going and winning in South Carolina, where he continues to lead through, by and large, the African-American community's support for him, is a formula for success. Look, it didn't work for Jeb Bush, who tried that success. He was out by South Carolina right after that was over. And the luxury of New Hampshire and Iowa is not just the momentum that you get, but it's the media that talks about you, which continues to show your dominance in the race. And the only guy who has the resources to stick around, even though he's not competing in the early states, is Michael Bloomberg, and his goal is very different. Little Michael doesn't really think he's going to be the president. He's just doing anything he can to stop Donald Trump from getting reelected, as opposed to putting forth a policy of what he stands for. So Bernie Sanders actually wants to win. Michael Bloomberg simply wants to stop Donald Trump.
Well, I had his campaign political chairman, former mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter, on my show yesterday, and they're singing a different tune. I mean, they think that their strategy is, if Bernie becomes a front runner, that Bloomberg becomes the alternative to Bernie Sanders for the Democrats, and then all the Biden people turn to him, and he creates a juggernaut on Super Tuesday. But look, I think the mayor and I agreed that in order for Bloomberg to do that, he's got to win states on Super Tuesday. And the problem is Bernie is now ahead in California, so maybe Bloomberg wins like Virginia and, I don't know, Louisiana. What does that do? It doesn't do anything, right? He's going to have to win 5 or 6 states.
It doesn't do anything.
Like we did.
John, at the end of the day, remember, it's not about what states you win. It's about how many delegates you amass. And
right.
So the states are a function of the delegates. And every state allocates their delegates differently. Some are proportionate, and some are in totality. And so if you can't get to the magic number, and I think this is really what Mini Michael's strategy is to continue to have Operation Chaos leading to the Democratic Convention. Bernie Sanders doesn't have the opportunity to have enough delegates on the first ballot. And then after the first ballot, the so-called superdelegates, the ones who stole the election from Bernie 4 years ago when he ran against Hillary Clinton, they actually come back into play. Those superdelegates now get 2 votes, and the delegates who actually were elected through the state process go from 1 full vote to a half a vote. And what that means is the quote-unquote adults in the room will have the opportunity to steal this election from Bernie again. That will fracture the Democratic Party. All of Michael's money won't be able to put it back together again.
So you know what, Corey, you're the only other person I've had on that has acknowledged this, because we've been talking about the Milwaukee burn the house down scenario here for some time. Just that. So you imagine you're a Bernie delegate. Let's say you're from Nevada. So you went to the caucus. You stood in line. You then ran for delegate. You went to your district convention. You raised money. You ran a campaign. You worked your butt off. You win. You're a Nevada delegate for Bernie. You got to get out to Milwaukee. You drive there. You stay in a hotel. You got to pay all the fees, right? We've all been through this. Thousands of dollars. You go there. Bernie's ahead. You do your first ballot. You get 1 vote. Bernie's ahead, but he's not over the top. The second ballot, you go there, then you go and sit down for your second ballot. Your vote is now worth half of what it was an hour ago. And then somebody who didn't do anything, they did nothing to get there, they were anointed, congressmen, senators, whatever, they get 2 votes. How do you think that person's going to feel?
Well, how do you think it's going to feel when, as you said, John, these are people who are the true activists, the ones who've been supporting Bernie from the very beginning, who've had the blood, sweat, and tears for him, have put their financial, wherewithal behind this guy. Then he doesn't get the nomination, and some party boss comes in and says, hey, you don't know what's good for you. We're going to now pick who we want to run against Donald Trump, because, by the way, they did such a bang-up job 4 years ago picking the nominee with crooked Hillary, who lost what should have been the easiest election in modern history, but she blew the thing because she forgot where Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Ohio were in a map. Now they're going to come back, and we're seeing this already, John. We're seeing guys like Jim Messina, the strategist and campaign manager to Barack Obama, saying, hey, Bernie's dangerous. Those are the words they're using. Can you imagine what's going to happen when they get to their convention and they steal it from Bernie again? And do you really think that all those Bernie supporters, and by the way, he has real supporters and real crowds and real small money donors, do you really think they're going to just coalesce and unite behind Michael Bloomberg and his multiple billions of dollar campaign? Not going to happen. Which means on to victory for Trump 2020. Look, I love this, to be honest with you, and I'm glad it's them and not us.
Well, exactly. Look, we kind of went through this a little bit in Cleveland last year, and I remember being in the middle of that fight with Ken Cuccinelli at the time, the most vicious of all the never-Trumpers, trying to unbind the delegates and the big fight we had there. I ran against him for Virginia Convention chairman, and we had a big fight, got beat by 2 votes, I believe, and then spent a week, running around behind him, trying to clean things up. So we've had a little bit of experience with this stuff. It gets really tough down there on the floor when you think you're getting screwed. And that's what's going to happen to Bernie.
And, John, it's very personal. You have to understand that, right? When you've gotten to this point and you've put all this effort in, and now they're saying once again, hey, you're not going to get it, because Bernie Sanders is not going to have enough delegates going into the convention to win on the first ballot. And that is by design right now, because they want to make sure this field stays fractured. So the more that they can keep others in the race, whether it's Pete Buttigieg or it's Elizabeth Warren or it's whoever, they want that field to be as fractured as possible right now to prevent Bernie from getting the requisite number of delegates so that he can win on the first ballot.
Exactly.
That's what this is all about. And, hey, great for the Republicans, because we are completely unified. You're going to see a show of force in Iowa that I wish we would have had the opportunity to do 4 years ago.
Right.
4 years ago, right, we didn't have that luxury to go out and contest what the Democrats are doing out there. And the same, I'm hoping, is going to be true in New Hampshire. We know the president's coming up there, and we know that they are geared up in New Hampshire. Our team has knocked on 1 million doors already, John. 1 million doors. That is a phenomenal number. And they are energized and they're mobilized and they know exactly what's at stake come November 2020 and they're ready to go.
We're with Corey Lewandowski, best-selling author, Let Trump Be Trump, Trump's Enemies. Also talks to the president every week. We're going to be with him, and he's going to be with us either way in Iowa and New Hampshire. And our 2-week radio live bus tour starts tomorrow. When you tune me in at 6 a.m., we're going to be right outside the Des Moines Coliseum. Lots of people are going to be online. We're going to be talking to Trump voters, and then we go on from there. Okay, Corey. I was opposed to the hiring of John Bolton, neocon, warmonger, Dr. Strangelove of all time, hated the president during the campaign, hates his America First agenda, hates the president's foreign policy to get out of these entanglements. President hires him, wants to invade Venezuela. That whole thing becomes a debacle. As everything John Bolton has ever did turns out to be a disaster. He's an unrepentant warmonger, bomb-throwing neocon. Why does the president hire these people, Corey?
You know, John, I'll tell you, and your listeners have heard my frustration now for 3 years. For 3 years, we have seen people who have been in that White House who don't support the Make America Great Again agenda, who don't support the Keep America Great agenda. And I never really understand it because I know the president really well. I spent some time with him on Sunday talking, and what I don't get is why these people decide to go and take positions to work for a man like Donald Trump that they just fundamentally oppose everything that he stands for. And we've seen it with Gary Cohn and Rob Porter and now, so many others, members of the NSC and the Deep State and Vindman and all these guys who don't like this president. But they decide to work there for their own edification, their own financial benefit, to better themselves as opposed to doing the job that they're asked to do on behalf of the man who was elected by the American people to do that. And I've never seen this in other administrations. I've never seen so many people who, after they leave, criticize their former boss, but sat there for a long time and were driving policies that were antithetical to what this president wanted. And that's what we're seeing now. And it's really mind-numbing to me because there are so many good people who believe in this president, who want to see him be successful, who would welcome the opportunity to go and work in a government capacity somewhere. But time and time again, we see poor decisions being made, people hired into the building who didn't support him, don't like him, didn't vote for him, and are only there to further their own agenda at the detriment of this president. And even with all that said, John, look at the historic things that he's been able to get done.
That's what's amazing. I mean,
clearly overlooked yesterday. Middle East peace. A Middle East peace plan was released yesterday. It has not been a blip on the news media today.
Unbelievable.
It is potentially the most historic thing from a international foreign policy side that this administration has done in the 3 years they've been there, and there's nobody discussing it. That's how disingenuous the media has been.
Corey, the fake news is unbelievable. I was there at the White House yesterday for the unveiling of this plan, and it actually was big news because what was leaked out was the plan that Jared was working on for some time, and we kind of knew about the $50 billion and some of the investments, but everybody said it didn't include a two-state solution. The president unveiled a plan yesterday, and now got rejected by the Palestinians immediately. We expected that. But it included two states where there is a Palestinian state with a capital, and that would be, and the president said he would recognize it immediately, and basically giving Palestine their own country. That should have been the headline everywhere. It was, I got out of the White House, I checked everything. Drudge, zero. No coverage. And then NBC, ABC, and CBS had about a minute. CNN didn't cover it. It was like, I was there, and it's incredible. No one covered it. All they want to do is talk about John Bolton testifying and impeachment. It's incredible.
It really is. And look, a two-state solution. And not just that. The president said, we will have an embassy, right? This will be a recognized two-state solution. The U.S. is willing to do this immediately. It is historic, John, that this plan has been unveiled in the way it has been done, and nobody is talking about it because the leftists, the so-called experts, the Middle East policy experts, could never get this done for 30, 40, 50 years. Hell, since Israel's been a country, people have talked about trying to get this issue resolved. And this administration put forth a very tangible, very well thought out plan about how to achieve that goal. Now, I understand the Palestinians summarily rejected it, but this president is a bold thinker and said, look, not only will we recognize your own state, we're going to give you your own embassy, we're going to give you your own ambassador. This is going to be real. And nobody in the media is covering this. It's amazing. I think it is probably the biggest international policy issue that this president has undertaken in 3 years, and all they want to talk about is the sham of an impeachment, which we already know what the outcome is going to be, which is the president is still going to be the president at the end of this impeachment inquiry.
The fact that nobody covered it really tells you all you need to know. Even I covered it. I was there. I did a special on my radio show at 2:30. I asked Bannon and his team, I'm like, you guys need to do a special after your war room. I'll give you 6 to 7. I'll preempt basketball. Do a special on it. He's like, my guys are telling me it's no big deal. It's like, no big deal. That's what the media is saying. It is a big deal, but we can't get the coverage. And Corey, that's why, look, thanks for coming on shows like mine, because we're the only bastion here of just true, accurate information in the country. No one talked about this for an entire cycle except shows like ours. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
And, John, that's why we have seen the media has historic low approval ratings. People don't go to ABC, NBC, CBS anymore. Look, the disgusting display of CNN the other night when they decided to have two people on. One is a New York Times member, and the other person is a former Republican strategist, and they decided to make fun of Trump people by the way they talk. I mean, that's really what we're about. And Don Lemon breaks down into tears and cries because he's laughing so hard, and there's no retribution. There's no apology to the 63 million people who supported Donald Trump, and all of a sudden it's okay to make fun of somebody because they've got a southern accent and you think they're stupid. This is so outrageous, John, that if this would have been a conservative making fun of somebody on the left who has an accent, they would have been fired. It would have been national attention. But, hey, it's okay to attack the Trump supporters. It's okay to attack those people who maybe talk differently than I do because you're the elitist. I'm so tired of this crap, and the American people are so tired of it. That's why outlets like yours, John, are more and more important because people are turning off CNN. They're walking away from MSNBC, and they're holding these stations accountable for what their contributors are saying on TV every day. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing those networks understand is shutting off the and going somewhere else.
Well, that's why we've been so successful here at the John Fredericks Radio Network, and we continue to grow because we get the truth out and no one else does, and we get beyond the fake newsers and the filter, Corey Lewandowski, of fake news. Hey, we're out of time for this segment. Hey, Corey, I really, really appreciate the time. I look forward to seeing you in Iowa, having you on my show, then also in New Hampshire. Thanks, man. Have a super day. I really appreciate the time.